Good evening and welcome out everyone to tonight's onboarding webinar. This is Coach Frank with Tackle Trading, here to take you through the Tackle Trading website, let you know where things are, when they are, when you can find them, hopefully give you a couple of ideas on how you can incorporate them into what you're already doing. Appreciate everybody taking the time to check this video. And of course, welcome to Tackle Trading. As we dive in, I always kind of preface this webinar by kind of saying, I break tackle trading into three core areas: the things that you can do on your own. That's going to be courses, blogs, some of the different tools, things that you can do with others, i.e. the schedule, when are we doing our different shows. And lastly, our weekend reports, our newsletter, stock, options, commodity, and Forex report. So we'll kind of break it down into those three areas as we're working through the site here this evening. A couple of things that I would like to highlight before we dive right into it, though, is that number one, the Huddle podcast, which you can find right here, available on all of your podcast providers as well. This will take you to the huddlepodcast.com, a daily podcast about 10 minutes long, just talking about the top 5 stories of the trading day in an unbiased and quick manner to keep you up to date. Huddle podcast each market day. And then you will also find over on tradingjustice.com, the Trading Justice podcast once a week. Very good listen, a lot of fun. It'll keep you a little busier than the Huddle, because the Huddle's really tried to get you, quick in and out info. A lot of good conversations, a lot of fun, a lot of informative stuff over at tradingjustice.com on the TJ podcast. There's also a really great monthly newsletter that they do over at tradingjustice.com as well. That is very much worth the read. As with the Huddle podcast, you can find the Trading Justice podcast on the website or on any of the major podcast providers. With that said, let's dive right into it and let's talk about some fun stuff here this evening. Let's start, with that first area, things that you can do on your own. And for me, at least, that kind of leads to courses first. At least that's where my mind goes in that regard. We do have several courses available to all of our pro members. Our 7-step guide to trading is, I think about it kind of as an introduction to the tackle trading way of thought. And maybe that's just me. But we have while there's a lot of us at tackle trading and we all have our own styles and trading personalities, right? We do kind of share, I guess, a core, maybe fundamental belief in the way to approach the markets, from starting at the top and taking that top-down approach, working indexes into sectors, into industries, into individual stocks, matching strategies to fit our view of the situation. We're big watch list traders around here, so identifying trading patterns and setup opportunities and being ready to take advantage of them if we see what we need to from an entry perspective, planning it, placing it, managing the trade, and of course journaling the trade so we can get better, basically, so we can kind of detect patterns of what's working, what's not, what do we need to tweak. This short course, if you're a brand new trader or a relatively new trader, you might be struggling with having a consistent daily routine, probably will help you out a lot on that front. If you're an experienced trader, you probably got your routine down already. Maybe there's a few things that you can steal from this to make your routine a little bit smoother. So that is a 7-step guide to trading. We have an introduction into technical analysis. Of course, as traders, charts are kind of a big deal, right? Ask, everything that was breaking support here, today, at least intraday support here today. Technical analysis 101, just going to focus on charting, right? Identifying those setups, identifying support, resistance, trend, buy signal, sell signals, confirmation, right? Slowing momentum, all of that fun stuff that's so very important to us as technical traders. The Options 101 course is going to really focus on, what happens when you buy or sell that contract. We're not going to talk a lot about different strategies in there. That'll be in our playbook, and we'll take a look at that here in a couple minutes. But unlike stock, there's a lot of moving parts with an option, right? A stock is pretty simple in the sense that if you buy it for 30 and sell it for 31, you made $1. Whether you did that as a day trader on a 1-minute chart, as a swing trader over the course of 2 weeks, as a long-term investor over the course of 2 years, you bought it for 30, you sold it for 31, you made that $1. There's things going on with options that we need to understand. There's time decay and how, every day that passes, those options are feeling that There's impact to volatility, to the movement of the stock itself. So we really do need to understand those option Greeks. And that's really what we're going to focus on there in that Options 101 course. If you are relatively new to options or just getting into options, I'm a firm believer that the more you truly understand the contract and why it behaves the way it behaves, the more comfortable you're going to be with whatever strategies it is that you're trading. So I would definitely, highlight the Options 101 course if you are an option trader or a newer option trader in particular. If you've ever been interested in learning a little bit more about either the futures or the Forex markets, I know a lot of traders have, but they can be difficult places, at least when I was first getting into this stuff, to kind of get your toes into and get some easy explanations of what actually is happening over there when I trade the ES contract or what have you. These introduction courses are designed to get you up and running if those are areas that you want to trade in the market. There's a lot of similarities to just traditional stock trading for sure. There's certainly some differences like the leverage that's associated with those contracts that we definitely need to understand. So both the futures and the Forex contract 101 classes can be great places to start if you're looking to get into either or both of those markets. Regardless of what you're trading, we do need to have clearly defined rules and systems in place, right? I think every trader agrees with that at face value. I think where the challenge comes in is it's easy to say, a little tougher to do. And our system development course is really designed to get you to train yourself to think about your trading from a system perspective. I know we all like to say that we do, and that is definitely our goal. But again, some of us, it can be a little easier said than done. This is a fantastic course to help you get better at trading from a systematic perspective. No matter what you're trading or what you like to trade, I would definitely encourage you to take some time to work through the System Development 101 course. In here, you will also find our 4 premium systems. These premium systems are not part of the pro subscription here at Tackle Trading. What they are is kind of one-time purchases. It's a pre-built system. The system is yours for life. We get together once a month with members of that team in a monthly mastermind group. The Tackle 25 is a covered call-based system on a select group of stocks that we put together each year with the mind to sell covered calls and generate cash flow that way on. The STEP system is kind of our swing trading style of trading, standing for stop loss, target entry, and position size. Our cash flow condors is another cash flow system, this time on the Russell 2000. And of course, the bear market survival guide, protecting ourselves from shifts in the market, when the market's bullish, being, prepared for potential shifts and, profiting when we get those shifts in the market. If you want any more information on any of those premium systems, you can head over to the store. You can send us an email to team@tackletrading.com. We'll be happy to get you a little more information on those courses. You can also hop into the clubhouse and ask folks that use them what they think about them and what their opinions are. Always a good place to start. So that's going to be our different courses. Over in the Trade Center, you're going to find a few things. You'll find a link to our trading glossary, a link to the trading journals, a link to the events calendar, and a link to the Tackle Trading playbook. And this is where we're going to have all of our strategies. We break our strategies into 3 core areas: Delta, Theta, and Vega, based on the option Greeks. Our Delta strategies are our directional strategies, right? So when I first got into trading, it wasn't about options for me. This was a while back. It was just, I'm going to buy this stock for 60 and sell it for 60 and a quarter, right? That's kind of what I thought, maybe. So movement-based trades, right? So when we buy or sell stock short, we're doing a delta trade. When we buy call or put options, we're doing a delta trade. When we're doing a bull call spread, we're doing a delta trade. So when you hear delta, just think direction or movement, right? I think the stock's going from 60 to 65. How can I take advantage of that? Then you've got theta, which is our cash flow component, right? Theta or time, that's going to be where we're selling those options and bringing in that premium up front. Covered calls, credit spreads, naked puts, iron condors, right? Where we're selling and taking advantage of the one guarantee, and that is that today is going to pass, right? No matter what the market does, up, down, nothing. Monday ends and Tuesday begins, right? And I think a lot of us here at Tackle Trading incorporate cash flow strategies into our trading plan, even if it's not the only or primary way that we choose to trade. Then you're going to have your vega or volatility, right? We're right, getting into earnings, starting to get out there right now. So these are going to be bidirectional trades where I'm not saying which way the stock's going to go. I'm saying how the stock's going to go. I think company XYZ is going to move a lot on its earnings based off of its history. Flip a coin which way it is, up or down. Well, I just want to build a trade that, hey, if it moves a lot, either way, I can profit. Or maybe the market thinks it's going to move a lot, but I think the market's wrong and I want to bet against them. So that's going to be our vega or volatility playbook. In any of these, you're going to find a video going into good detail what the strategy is, why we would choose the strategy, what are rules for the strategy, what are we buying, how much time, what are we selling, right? What delta, all of that fun stuff. There will be an example walkthrough if you're using the Thinkorswim platform as well. There's also a little cheat sheet, downloadable PDF that's got the rules so you can easily access them on any of the strategies that you are using. We do put everything on a scale of 0 to plus or minus 3. 0 being flat neutral. This is a neutral strategy. Plus or minus 1 would be slightly bullish or slightly bearish. 2 or minus 2 would just be traditionally or normal bullish or bearish. And then 3 or minus 3 would be very bearish or very bullish. We always want to match the strategy to our view of the situation. If we think the market or this stock's going to move a lot, we probably want to do a strategy that reflects that, right? If we think it's going to be kind of a slow grind, we probably want to do a strategy that reflects that. So that is the tackle trading playbook. Hope you enjoy it. It'll probably keep you busy for a little while. We do regular blog content. Not everything has to be a course or a 1-hour webinar, what have you. Whether it's more charting and tales of technician, working with Coach Greg over in the Rookie Corner and kind of taking concepts from the ground up, hearing more about options in the Option Theory blog, hearing from our awesome female team members here in the Women in Trading blog. These are going to be relatively short reads, probably 5-ish minutes, depending on, how fast you read, but certainly relatively short reads. But just another way that we can, share ideas, bounce things around with members of our team. Would definitely encourage you to incorporate the blogs into your weekly routine as well. If you go directly into the Trade Center, this is going to bring you to what I always call a What's Up at Tackle Trading page. Just directly in the Trade Center itself, what's our next show, what are our most recent posts, our most recent tweet, a watch list, little calendar for the upcoming few days, a showing, either live or recorded showing of one of our YouTube shows. There we are right now, it looks like. Here on YouTube, where you are on any of the courses. So if you left, in module 2, 6 minutes in, you can pick right back up where you left off. So just a what's up page at Tackle Trading, if you will. There's also a lot of different trader tools in here. Over in the market Skyline, you are going to find all of the charts for all of the big stuff, right? The different indexes, the Dow, the S&P, the RUT, the NASDAQ, Bitcoin, the major commodities, gold, silver, copper, crude, the sector spider ETFs, right? Things that we're probably realistically as traders looking at pretty much every day, right? It's, we want to trade with the market as best we can, just all in one spot, right? You might do this on your own charting platform already, but we wanted to get just an easy all-in-one spot place to go about it. There's also a link to the FinViz heat maps here. And that is that open heat maps there. This will bring you to finviz.com and their heat maps. Just a visual. Today was pretty darn red, right? A lot of selling overnight, really extended into the trading day. And we're seeing a sea of red here today. What that probably means is there's not a lot of great technical bullish setups, at least going into tomorrow morning, right? That might mean more than that, but I think for me, at least, it probably at least means that. So a great way to generate some ideas, to kind of see what areas stood out to you, whether from a bullish or a bearish perspective. It is pretty customizable. While it's set to default for the S&P 500 in the one-day performance, you can look at the weekly, the quarterly, based off of certain fundamental ratios, how it performed on earnings. So pretty handy little visual to stay on top of the market. So that's what you're going to find over in the market Skyline. You'll find a news aggregator here as well that's going to go through several of the big, financial websites. You can kind of see here, CNBC, Wall Street Journal, the Times. Usually there's some market watch in there as well. Just going to go through and grab those stories, get the headlines here so I can easily browse through and say, oh, hey, you know what? IBM showing good growth. That's interesting. Maybe I want to click and read it, but maybe I don't really care about this one, right? So just an easy way to process instead of have to bounce through a whole bunch of different websites, click and click and click and just kind of scroll through here and read the stories that are interesting, at least in my opinion. You find a link to the economic calendar so you can be on top of what's going on going into today or into the week. You'll find a link to our market report, which you'll also find up here in the reports drop down here. We'll talk about them in a few. A link to the compounding gains calculator, a chart if you ever need one. Once again, the glossary, the search function, which is also this little magnifying glass right up here. You'll also find a link, trade journals in here. And while you can grab the trade journals, and I would definitely encourage you to do so one way or the other, in the drop down in the trade center, I have always preferred coming through the trade center and going into trade journals here for a couple of reasons. One, this was here first, and so I'm kind of just used to it, so being honest. But two, and more importantly, this will bring you to kind of the walkthrough of how to use that journal if you need a little bit of help. It is very important and is a core belief here at Tackle Trading that we journal all of our trades. Every trade that we make is data if we let it be, right? And the only way we're going to be able to process that data is if we know what we did and when we did it. Now we can go in and look at these 10 trades, these 100 trades, and really dive deep and make targeted adjustments, right? Instead of just, well, breakouts don't work. Well, they probably do, but what I'm doing maybe needs to be changed, right? And so this video will kind of walk you through. You're not going to have to do much. Mostly you got to tell it what you did, and it's going to do the rest of the work until you're ready to dive in and digest that data. XYZ, I bought the stock. Here's the date. This is my price. This is my position size. Eventually I got out. It's going to track the rest, what my gain loss was, how long I was in the trade, important information, very important information, such as what does my average winning trade make me? How much does my average losing trade cost me? What's my winning percentage? The big one, of course, are my gross profits bigger than my gross losses? If you just roll the page just a little bit, you will find the trade journal here, and just a little bit further down, you can download it directly from here as well. You will also find the theta research tool where you can build and compare your different cash flow strategies. Very, very helpful for those database. So we're comparing them apples to apples, if you will, instead of apples to oranges. A portfolio journal to kind of help you stay organized on top of your overall portfolio so you know exactly how bullish or bearish you are. All of them, you just click on whichever one you want and then hit your download and you are good to go. So that is the Trade Center. The Clubhouse, as I mentioned just briefly earlier, is kind of our own personal social media. It's not really social media, but I guess that's just how I think about it. It's a place where we can get in, we can ask questions, we can bounce ideas around with other members of the team, we can ask for help if we need it, we can show off our new setup if we want to. It's just trading, it's just us, but I certainly invite you to join us over at the Clubhouse. It's nice to have a place where you can, just talk trading. Right? Trading is one of those things. Either people want to talk it or don't, right? There's not a lot of the middle, at least not in my experience. So certainly invite you to join us over in the Clubhouse. Let's kind of shift gears and talk a little bit about our weekly schedule, or the things that you can do with others. Each market morning at 11 a.m. Eastern, we get together in our Traders Lounge for an hour. Our Traders Lounge is designed to answer our team's questions, whatever those questions might be. So it's always a place that you're welcome if you're struggling with whatever, or if you just need some assistance on anything. Maybe you've got a great trade setup, at least you think it is, and want to get some feedback on it. Maybe you're struggling with managing credit spreads. Maybe you're having a hard time deciding when to roll your covered calls. Maybe you've got a trade going and you're starting to see the market turn a little bit, and you want to talk about some different management philosophies. Who knows what you'll need and when you'll need it, but we do need to have a place where we can address those questions and issues as they arise. That's exactly what our Traders Lounge is designed for. You are always welcome. Your questions are always welcome. 11 a.m. Eastern each market day. So mostly Monday through Friday, barring, minus a few holidays here and there. We don't record the Traders Lounge because quite honestly, no one's going to go back and listen to one from 9 months ago, right? But it's not a huge deal for us to hit the record button, get a little bit of a snippet, and get it placed in here. And we will do that fairly regularly. And if your schedule is such that you're at work, for example, at 11 a.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday, and just can never make it to the lounge, don't hesitate to reach out. Let us know the situation. It's not a big deal for us to record it and post it in here for you. We're more than happy to do our best to accommodate our team members. So, don't hesitate to reach out if that is the situation that you find yourself in. We can still help you with your questions for sure. Shortly after the Traders Lounge, we head over to our YouTube channel for our tackle trading halftime report. Live looking at the market starts at 12:30 Eastern. We're about the halfway point of the trading day. We're going to look in on the market, talk about, hey, what's going on today in the market? How is it impacting our charts, stocks in the news, how the different components of the market look, whether it's Bitcoin, the NASDAQ, oil, gold, right? All of that fun stuff to go through that daily routine. We do that each day live at 12:30 Eastern time. Of course, being YouTube, once the live stream is over, it will automatically post over to our channel. And certainly hope to see you over in the halftime report. It's a lot of fun, and it's very helpful to kind of follow the market day by day by day. Definitely makes life, at least in my opinion, a little bit easier. I always think of the market like a big soap opera in the sense that if you just catch every episode, you're always on top of it. If you miss a few episodes, you can feel lost really quick. That's going to be our daily schedule. Every day that the market's open, you can expect that we'll be doing our lounge here at Tackle Trading at 11, and then hopping over to YouTube at 12:30 to do the halftime report. Every single market day, we'll be working through this stuff with our team. Then we have our evening shows, a couple in particular. The Coaches Show, which is what I'd probably consider our flagship show, is on Tuesday nights at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. Unlike the lounge, it is recorded, it is archived. So if you can't make it live, or if you need to, rewatch it, or if you want to watch an episode on a subject that we did, 4 weeks ago, you can get that very, very easily. It's Tuesday night, right? We've got a couple days into the trading week. What's standing out, right? Whether it's from a bullish or a bearish perspective, where do the opportunities tend to be, lining up in our market skyline. But what I really, really like about the Coaches Show, I mean, that's all. I always like that stuff too, right? But that's part of the job, I guess, if you will, is following along with the market and adjusting along with it, because it doesn't adjust with you. That's for sure. But the Coaches Show really allows us to take one of the, many, many concepts and discussions that we can have on in trading, right? I mean, there's a million things we could talk about, whether it's, particular patterns, particular indicators, particular strategies, building a watch list, managing trades, entry rules, portfolio design, protecting, protective puts when need be. I mean, there's a lot of things that we can talk about. And the Coaches Show really allows us to take one of those many, many things and have a really in-depth discussion on it. We'll always keep it topical, right? We're, depending on what the market's doing and what the charts and everything is looking like, but it really is a lot of fun and really very helpful as you kind of find what you like and don't like as a trader. I would definitely encourage you to make some time in your weekly routine. We'd love to have you live, but I get it. Schedules are schedules. And, if you're not available at 8:30 Eastern on a Tuesday night, you're just not, right? So it is recorded and archived. That's on Tuesday nights, 8:30 Eastern. And then on Thursday nights at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, we do our Cash Flow Club. It's going to be a little more narrowly focused on its name probably gave away, those cash flow strategies, building and managing those strategies, those credit spreads, those covered calls, those condors, those naked puts, right? We'll talk a lot about building those trades in there for sure, but we're also going to talk a lot about managing those trades, because they're expiration trades, or at least trades that we might be taking towards expiration. And so there's going to be some management that goes on with those type of trades for sure. Those are the type of things that we can talk about each Thursday night at 8:30 Eastern over in the Cash Flow Club. just like the coaches show, it's recorded, it's archived. You can always go back and watch it at a more convenient time or watch previous issues on subjects that you find interesting. So don't worry about that side of things. On Monday nights, of course, I do the presentation of our onboarding just to walk new members through the site. Maybe people who are checking us out for the first time want to take a closer look at what we're about and what actually we offer before maybe setting up a free trial or something like that. You're always welcome to revisit it, but no two are tremendously different than the one before them, to be quite honest with you. They're pretty similar each and every week. We have a tremendous team of female traders with us here, as I brought up earlier in the Women in Trading blog. They get together about once a month in their Women in Trading Mastermind group. I don't get to go. I'm not a woman in trading, but I do know the team, and I know that they're probably getting a lot of good work done, and I probably imagine they're having a good time while they're doing that. We will be sure to promote it. It tends to be towards the end of the month, as a general rule, I would say, but we'll make sure that you are alerted and aware if you are a woman in trading or if you know a woman in trading. I would definitely encourage you to hook up with the awesome gals of tackle trading. I have no doubt you'll be very, very happy that you did. I came into the events calendar here to talk a little bit about the Mind of a Trader show, because there's actually a couple different ones. On Fridays at an hour before the market closes at 3 p.m. Eastern, Coach Mark hosts, he presents his weekly commodity report live and just takes any questions, bounces ideas around, makes some last minute decisions with members of the team. So that's the Mind of a Trader at the Closing Bell webinar on generally Friday at 3 Eastern, but technically the last trading day of the week at 3 Eastern time. And then also a Sunday night, usually, again, right before the, depending on a holiday, there will be a few times it'll be on Monday nights instead, where he does his Sunday night a weekend prep class. We're a couple of hours into the futures open, 8:30 Eastern time. Talk about how that might impact decisions going into the early part of the week. Again, answering any questions. Maybe you just couldn't get to any live stuff, but you had some questions. He's more than happy to answer your questions in there. Just another way to be able to hang out with the team and help them out in whatever ways that they need. So that's the Mind of a Trader weekend prep class on generally Sunday nights at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. So that is going to be the Mind of a Trader. A couple of other things that we do, and once that Women in Trading get scheduled, we'll make sure that we promote it. We'll make sure that we get it on the events calendar, so you'll be well aware of it. I assure you. On Wednesday nights, we do a couple of different things here on YouTube at 7 Eastern. We do our Trade Masters webinar. A couple of the coaches will bring some trade ideas, bounce them off of one another, off of the host, either Coach Mark or Coach Matt, as well as the team in the chat, bounce some trade ideas around, and then someone will be declared the champion for the week. Mostly it's just a bragging right thing. It's mostly just so we can get together in the middle of the week, talk some new trade ideas, things that we might be running into. Just, it's always fun to talk trading with other traders, right? At least as far as I'm concerned. And so that's what we're doing here, 7 Eastern on our YouTube channel. Shortly after that, at 8:30 Eastern, we have a nightly, an evening traders lounge where we do a couple of things. Number one, we can answer any questions and go into more detail on anything that we talked about in our Trade Masters webinar. Maybe you liked a particular setup and wanted to price out a couple of different option strategies on it, right? So we can answer any questions directly related to what we talked about in our Trade Masters webinar. But we can also, just like any other Traders Lounge that we're doing, answer any questions that you might have that are outside of that scope as well. So just another way that we can build off of our discussions. And of course, again, everybody's schedule is different. What we always want to make sure is there's something that you can make it to, whether maybe days are tough, maybe you can make it to the weekend, or maybe you can make it to Wednesday nights, maybe Thursday nights are terrible, but Tuesday nights are okay. We always want to, it's very helpful, I think, at least, to have live interaction with other traders, because a lot of times as traders, we can feel kind of like we're on our own island, We're usually at our computer by ourselves or with our pets that aren't much help in this regard. And usually your next door neighbor doesn't want to talk trading with you, or your buddy or whatever. And so we want to make sure that there's ways that you can interact with the team, with the coaches, get questions answered, and hopefully that we are able to accomplish that. Kind of an easy way to think about the schedule. And we do tend to be pretty regimented. You're not going to see a lot of, we're moving this to this week, other than like holiday weeks. You'll find that we're pretty regimented. And if you're ever feeling a little lost or overwhelmed or just want to get the links, here in the events calendar is probably the easiest place to do that. Oh, it's Tuesday night. And I know it's not, but it will be soon enough. Want to join the coaches show, just click that. You'll get the link and the information to get in there. Not a problem. The way I kind of think about it is the lounge is for questions, very specifically our team's questions. It's not for me. It's not for Coach Mark. It's not for Gino or whoever might be running the lounge that day. It's really for you and what you need from us. It's a place where we can answer your personal questions. The halftime report is really where we can focus on the daily routine. We all got to do it. Might as well do it together, at least is my opinion of it. It's a lot more fun to do this stuff with friends. And that's where we can really focus on the routine. And then the evening shows are really going to allow us to go in more detail, do a little bit more teaching, put that teacher's hat on a little bit as we walk through this stuff. And while that probably is an oversimplification of it, there's probably a little, gray area, right, in all of them. That's kind of the way I tend to keep them organized in my mind. We recently launched a new product that we call Trading Labs. That's what you've seen here a few times probably as we've been working through this side. There are 3 different trading labs with Coach Mark, Coach Emily, and Coach Tyler. They'll get together once a week with members of their team, whether it's the Vikings, the Dynasty Investors, or the Phoenix, and go over things together. They've got a personal private Discord channel where they're communicating throughout the course of the week. If you are interested in any or all of those trading labs, you can pick up just one. You can pick up a package with all 3. If you just click on the Trading Labs link here or head over to the store, you can get more information. I've heard great feedback. They're really new. I think I think this was going into week 3 right now on it. Very, very new, but I've heard pretty cool things about it. And I'm sure, like I said, it's fun to hang out with other traders. So that's going to be the schedule and the routine. I hope I made that fairly clear for you. I know it could be a little overwhelming. We do a lot. We're live a lot. We want to make sure that we're here for our team members. If you're ever feeling a little overwhelmed or anything like that, don't hesitate to reach out. We're more than happy to take some time. Let's talk a little bit about that third component, and that is our weekend reports. On Fridays, as the market is winding down and closing for the week, as coaches, we all get together in what we call our scouting report meeting, where we talk markets, we talk sectors, we talk commodities, currencies, trade setups that we're following going into the upcoming week, and we ran into in our scanning. And out of that meeting comes our weekend reports, the tackle newsletter, the stock, options, commodity, and Forex reports. We'll make sure you have all of these delivered to you by Saturday afternoon, so you have time to get through any or all of them before the market gets back up and running. Right, that can be important. Let's start with the newsletter, because that's kind of what we believe in here at Tackle, is starting at the top of the market and taking that top-down approach. You might have noticed when we were taking a look earlier at the 7-step guide to trading, that was the first step. And we really do believe that that is the first step here at Tackle Trading. And that's what we're doing here in the newsletter each week, talking about, what's going on in the market. What's the storyline in the market? Is it volatility? Is it, particular news story? Is it earnings? Is all of the above? Is it Fed, right? What's the storylines that are moving the market going into the upcoming week? What are we seeing? Like last week, for example, we saw a little weakness in, under the surface, right, in the market, but because of how strong some of those monster mega cap stocks were, like Apple and Amazon and things like that, when you look at the S&P, it's kind of heightened a little bit. So we can talk about those stories, right? Talk about the big news events and the economic reports from the previous week. Take a look at the upcoming economic calendar for the upcoming week. Of course, we'll have a video talking you through this stuff so you have a better understanding of kind of why we're seeing it the way that we're seeing it, where we are on the S&P 500 technically, on the Dow Jones, on the NASDAQ, on the Russell. You'll find the ETFs that track those indexes if you need them. DIA, you're probably aware, but DIA tracks the Dow Jones, QQQ tracks the NASDAQ, IWM tracks the RUT, and SPY tracks the S&P 500. So if you ever want to trade directly into one of these indexes, or if you wanted to, get some portfolio insurance through SPY contracts or something like that, these can be vehicles that can work for that. Very liquid, lots of options on that. You'll find Coach Gino's Arkham High Low indicator that's basically looking at the internals of the market. So again, when we look at things like the S&P 500 or indexes in general, the way they're built and it's not necessarily a bad thing, it's just what it is. They're market weighted, right? They're weighted by market cap. And so sometimes when you look a little bit more under the hood, you can kind of see a little bit more weakness. And that's kind of what we saw in the Arkham High Low indicator this past week. It looks at over 8,000 stocks. So it's, taking a real deep dive to see, hey, who's making how many are making new highs? How many are making new lows? Right. And so kind of giving us some signals that maybe there is a little bit of relative strength, or in this case, weakness for the most part lately in the market. Advanced decliner again, so we can kind of take a look at those internals. The seasonality chart, what does the market tend to do this time of year? It's not as simple as, well, the market usually goes up in the fourth quarter, so let's just go crazy in the fourth quarter. But it is historical data for a reason. Historically speaking, that is what happens more often than other things, right? And so being able to incorporate that into our trading can be very, very, very helpful. To a similar extent, what sectors tend to perform, relatively speaking, the strongest and the weakest any given month of the year. Now, we're going to rank the sectors each and every week based off of what we're seeing on the stocks that build up those sector spider ETFs. So we're looking at the companies that are in XLK, the technology ETF, or XLI, the industrial ETF, right, into the sector group as a whole. That's how we're coming up with our weekly rankings. We will move them up or down accordingly based off of what we're seeing and how we feel it's impacting the different charts. We break our sectors into three core categories. Growth, that's going to be technology, discretionary, and communications. Cyclicals, that's going to be financial, industrials, energy, and basic materials. And then defensive, that's going to be healthcare, staples, utilities, and REITs. And so what we kind of saw coming into this week is money coming out of the growth area. We've been seeing it come out of the cyclical area for a while now and into some of those more traditional defensive areas like utilities and real estate. So we can kind of let you know how we're seeing the different sectors. We'll be moving this each week. We'll be able to explain our thought process in the video so you have a better idea of kind of why is this here? Why do we pull back? All of that fun stuff. But we'll be doing that each and every week. You'll find the sector spiders again in here. These are, of course, what we're building our rankings off of. If you're unfamiliar with the sector spiders, they're ETFs. What they do is they'll go into the S&P 500 and pull out just the stocks in that area. So tech, for example, XLK, this is the technology sector ETF, goes into the S&P, pulls out just the tech stocks, puts them into this portfolio, weights them in accordance with how they're weighted in the S&P 500. So it's a more isolated look at the technology sector, more isolated look at the energy sector, a more isolated look at the real estate sector, right? These are ETFs. The ETF provider's website is just www.sector, the word sector, and then spdr.com. If you want to take a closer look at those ETFs, that's probably the best place to do it, is go directly to the source. These are optional ETFs. We can trade them through shares. We can trade them through option strategies. They're also very helpful to track a lot of things effectively, at least in my opinion. It's been part of my daily routine for a long time. I think everybody should look at every one of these at least once a day to see what is going on within the different sectors. There's going to be a little write-up. We've mentioned market cap a few times and how these things are weighted. It is important to understand how they're weighted. At XLC, for an easy example, that's got your Googles and your Facebook and your Netflixes and your Disneys and your Activision Blizzards and things, Comcast. But because Facebook and Google are so big, and because there's two different class shares of Google, it is very, very weighted towards Facebook and Google when I look at XLC. Now, that is what it is. Most importantly, I understand that, right? And I can, realize, okay, well, maybe I need to take a little bit deeper look here because the way it is rated. So there's a little write-up talking a little bit about that, a little link in there so you can take a closer look at that. A friendly reminder to match the strategy to the situation, right? It seems silly, but sometimes we get so hung up on our entry or something like that that we kind of forget, oh, this is a really slow moving stock. Should I really be doing an out of the money bull call spread? I mean, do whatever you want, Frank, but that probably isn't matching the strategy to the situation, right? So another friendly reminder to do that. You will also find a pre-built scanner in here based off of the different sectors. So if you were, liking the relative strength in healthcare and wanted to take a closer look at some stocks within that space, this will bring you to a pre-built scan. These are what I call trader-friendly stocks. And all I mean when I say that is they've got really good liquidity. So it's very easy to trade shares, very easy to get in and out of any stock trade. They do have options. They do have weekly options. Just because you have options doesn't necessarily mean those options are easy to trade or particularly liquid, and I might not want to trade them. But I would say as a whole, most of these things are okay to trade with options as a whole, but I would always suggest that you double check that and make that decision for yourself. You never want to get stuck in an illiquid option. And especially here in the States, there's never a reason why we don't just say, well, the options aren't there, but I can still trade the stock, because most of us have $0 commissions on our stocks these days, right? But that's what I mean when I say trader friendly. As you can kind of see here, just got some side-by-side chart action. I can see if anything stands out to me. Pfizer, for example, looks like a little breakout candidate. While it kind of got rejected here today, AbbVie, a little bit of a breakout candidate, right? DHR knocking on the door of an all-time high, held up relatively strong here today. So I can just easily browse through a lot of charts in a very quick manner and see if I want to go take a closer look at it. I would never try to build a trade off of these little tiny charts. I can't imagine even trying, but I know what I like. I know that that's an interesting breakout, right? And they also have earnings in the way. So, but that's usually not going to be the case. So just an easy way to quickly browse through an area of the market that may have caught your attention, whether it's from a bullish or bearish perspective, to quickly look at some charts in that area. Once it catch your eye, you can go take a closer look and actually do some in-depth technical analysis. But when you're scanning, I mean, we don't need to break down every single one of those charts, right? We want to, see what's catching our attention, see if it's worth a closer look. So that's going to be the newsletter. I would always encourage you to start here. I think it's just a good habit to get yourself into, is always start at the top of the market. Always start at the top and work your way down. I'm a big believer in that. So that's going to be the newsletter. Coach Cody typically does our Forex report for us, where he can highlight, what's going on in the major currency pairs, upcoming news events, how their technicals are looking. He also does a tremendous job helping people that are new or who have never traded Forex before get up and running. A lot of the Forex traders here at Tackle Trading, would probably say that Cody was a big part in how they got into the currency market. He really does a good job in helping people go from, concept to action over in that Forex report each week. As I mentioned earlier, Coach Mark does our commodity report. He presents that live in his Friday show, but it'll be in here as well, where we can talk about, he'll talk about, the technicals, the fundamentals, and the storylines that are going on in the world of commodities. Commodities is a very interesting place for sure, because there's always something going on. These are, have a lot of real world applications, right? And so, Mark, make sure our team is up to speed on what's going on in that marketplace. Even if you're not a futures trader, where, we're trading, gold futures or oil futures or what have you, there are going to be a lot of things that you can do through the equity and option market to take advantage of movement or lack thereof in the commodities, world of commodities. There's a lot of gold stocks, for example. So if gold's cooking and you don't want to trade gold futures, you've got a lot of options to trade gold stocks, or you can trade GLD, the ETF that tracks gold, right? There's going to be stocks that act as proxies. For example, on copper, there's not really any great optionable ETF on copper, but FCX tends to be a very, very good proxy for that metal, right? And so on and so forth. So even if you're not trading directly over in the commodities market, I do think it is wise to incorporate commodity ideas into your trading, because there are going to be a lot of things that you can do through the options and the equity market to take advantage of what's going on over there. The stock and the option report are going to be built very similar to one another. We're building these technically first, right? Now, as the name would suggest, things in the option report are going to be more tailored towards option trading, whether that's maybe the price of the stock, maybe that's the liquidity options, maybe just has a ton of different options. There's a lot of different things that you could do. Whereas the stock report, maybe the option liquidity isn't great, or maybe it is a low price stock that, it just might be easier just to work with the shares. So while they are going to focus on what their name would suggest, they're going to be built similar, right? If it's a good setup, it's a good setup. Whether I'm trading with stock or options, that's kind of a me decision. That's a you decision, right? But we will put together a watch list going into each week, highlighting some technical situations in these areas. Now, in the option report, we're going to talk technicals, but we're also going to spend a lot of time talking strategy selection. In the stock report, we're going to really focus on the technicals because, well, our strategy is stock, right? And so it kind of a very overly simplified way to think about it. You might talk a little more charting in the stock report, a little more strategy selection in the option report. That might just be a way to differentiate them a little bit, because again, just because it's in the option report doesn't mean I'm not going to trade it with stock. That's my business, right? If you want to trade the diamonds but don't want to trade shares on or options on it for whatever reason, you don't have to explain that to anybody, right? And the same thing, if you find something in the stock report that you want to trade with options, double check the liquidity, because that might be why it's in the stock report. But assuming the liquidity is there and you'd be comfortable trading the options, cool, it's your trade, right? But we'll highlight technical situations. So you can kind of see here, Etsy had kind of pulled back into an old resistance zone after breaking out, right? Target kind of in this high base, right? And today's candle definitely going to change some of these things for sure. We can talk you through the technicals and the setups in the video as well. We'll always have both a bullish and a bearish list. Sometimes one's going to be much bigger than the other, just depending on what's going on technically. But we always want to make sure that we have some ideas, so no matter what the market throws at us, we can act accordingly, right? So that's going to be the option report. Stock report's going to look very similar. In addition to kind of talking through the setups, strategy selection, that type of stuff, we'll also use it as an opportunity to do a little bit of teaching, right? Whether it's, more on, debating two different strategies, or entry rules, or adjustment, midweek adjustments. We'll always do a little bit of teaching in there as well. You probably have noticed we'll have these trading view charts built in to these watch lists. If you are, interested, just a couple of quick things that I think are pretty helpful and worth knowing about. Say, for example, you like XLV, the healthcare sector, right? You like this as a trade setup. And yes, today's volatility definitely messed up a lot of charts. There's really no disputing it. But maybe we want to take a closer look here. Your trend line tool is going to be right here. That's where you're going to have your trend line. That's where we can, draw our trend line to the downside, or we could draw, I know that's not particularly useful there, a straight, horizontal support or resistance. So you can draw trend lines. If you don't need them, just left click and hit the trash bin. That'll get rid of them for you. Maybe you've decided that you still like these guys, but you still only really like them as a breakout. Still like them as a breakout candidate. That's a little ways away, but I still like them as a breakout candidate, right? If I want a little more chart, I just need to smack this widget button, and that's going to just hide the watch list. Smack it again. It'll bring it right back to me. Now I want to kind of go out and take a closer look on this thing. This guy right here is where you're going to find your long or your short position. So just for fun, let's say we're still interested in the breakout if it takes out that high, right? A little taller task today than it was on Friday for sure. But if it bounces back and breaks out, I still call it a breakout personally. So that's where I potentially get in. I've got a target in mind of 134 or 130, 133, we'll say here. I'd put my stop loss, here. I'm not doing a particularly in-depth analysis here, as you can see. Just kind of want to show you how this works. It's going to let me know that for every dollar, if I get in where I've, said, hey, this is where I'm getting in, this is where my target is, this is where my stop is. For every dollar that I'm risking, I have a $2.45 potential payout or potential reward. So this is going to be a good risk to reward trade, at least in my opinion. Most swing traders live by the at least 2-to-1 risk reward ratio. So and I certainly am one of them. But this can help you build out the trade, check that risk to reward. Very, very helpful for you on that. Just again, left click and we can get rid of that. There's the one for the bears as well. So maybe you prefer that weakness that we've seen overall in the Chinese tech area, and you still think that if Baba can take out this low tomorrow, then you're comfortable getting in. You just use this bar as your entry and your stop loss. Very easy, very helpful. That this tool alone, has saved me countless hours over the years because I don't have to do the math. I can make sure the risk to reward is where I need it to be. So that is going to be the stock and the option report. Again, in all of these, we'll make sure we have good detailed videos explaining everything for you. We want to make sure that no matter what you trade, whether you're just a stock trader, prefer options, primary currency trader, trading the commodities, all of the above, all but this one, whatever it might be, we want to make sure you have some trade ideas going into the week that have been vetted through technically, been checked for earnings and all of that fun stuff. If you don't have to trade anything you don't like and never feel obligated, but there's no bad way to find a trade. We always want to make sure that we highlight some opportunities for our team members each week in our reports. And as I said earlier, you can expect these by Saturday afternoon, so you have time to get through them before the market gets back up and running. Don't be afraid to prioritize. If you're primarily an option trader, that's you're probably going to hit that report before the Forex report. Doesn't make you a bad person, just makes you, right? So don't be afraid to have a little bit of a priority system based off of you. And in many ways, you can build your own tackle trading, and don't be afraid to do so. We put out a lot, whether it's our reports or our shows, we'll keep you busy. And if you can't make it everything, don't feel bad about yourself, but be willing to prioritize if you need to, right? A couple of other things, and I'll let you get out of here. We have our Tackle Today email. That's our daily email. If you would like it, you can sign up for it. Just go into Tackle Today. You can sign up for it right here. We will also post it into this page. It will be delivered to your inbox faster. But if you, for whatever reason, prefer to just read it here at tackletrading.com, you can do that as well. Just a quick little read each and every morning. We are active on all of the more traditional social media platforms. Of course, we're here on YouTube right now. In addition to our onboarding webinar, we do our Trade Masters on Wednesday nights. We do our halftime report live stream every market day. But we also have a lot of other videos over on our channel, and are always looking to add more, whether it's how-tos, walkthroughs, Thinkorswim tutorials. We've got a lot of content over there, and would certainly appreciate a subscribe and a little bell notification thingy, because we got lots of videos coming your way. We've got a presence over on LinkedIn and Instagram. Our Facebook, we have a Facebook group of Team Tackle. I'm not a Facebook user, but I know a lot of people do like Facebook. We've got a Facebook group where Team Tackle can get together and talk trading with one another. We're active on Twitter, where we can share, hey, what's going on here at Tackle Trading, interesting charts we're running into, upcoming earnings, top movers, stuff like that. I certainly invite you to join us at any of these social media platforms that you're already using. If you're not using them, okay, no big deal, right? But certainly invite you to join us anywhere that you are comfortable using. Just another way to be able to connect with other traders. Very, very helpful. If you feel overwhelmed, if you're not sure where to go next, if you just need something, never hesitate. Send us an email, team@tackletrading.com. We're here for you. That's something that we 100% believe in. So never hesitate to reach out to your team. There's a lot of ways to do it. Send us an email, get in the lounge and ask, get in the clubhouse and ask, hit me up on Twitter. I'm never too far away, right? Lots of ways to reach out if you need something, and please do. Sometimes we all do, right? There's no shame in that, That's what having a community is all about, is when I need some help, having people to lean on, right? And that goes from every single one of the coaches to, I believe, every one of our team members here. We all want to see each other succeed. We're all more than happy to help one another out. While I can never make your trades for you any more than you can make mine for me, if you're struggling with something, I'm more than happy to help you if I can. And maybe I can't, but maybe I know somebody who can. So don't hesitate. And that really is the power of tackle trading in the community, in my opinion. Lots of fun stuff, lots of cool things, a lot of teaching, and there's a lot of things to like. But at the end of the day, what I love about it is it's just a bunch of traders who banded together to help each other out and navigate the markets together. And I'm very happy to be a part of it. I think you will be as well. If you are a pro member, I certainly welcome you. It's great to have you here, and I'm sure I'll see you around. If you're just checking this out, I appreciate you spending some time to do that as well. We do have a standing offer of a free 15-day trial, so you can come in, see what exactly we're doing in all of these shows and what you think about it. It'll be linked in the description, and it'll be linked in the description of any of our YouTube videos. So if you are interested in getting a free trial going, no time like the present. If you're not sure where to go, send Mark an email, team@tackletrading.com. Tell him Frank sent you. Maybe he'll give you an extra day or two. I don't know. I don't want to speak for Mark, but he's a pretty nice dude in that regard. So, don't be afraid to give it a shot and see if it's for you. Ladies and gentlemen, that'll be everything I wanted to cover here this evening. If you ever need more information on any of the different products, the store is a great place to go, but never hesitate to reach out a little more informally, and we'll be happy to help you out in that regard. It has been my pleasure taking you through the site here this evening. I appreciate everybody's time. Appreciate everybody who's catching the recording at a more convenient time for them. I hope it was helpful in getting to know us a little bit better. I'll look forward to seeing you all down the road, whether it's in another webinar, I'm in the halftime report every Friday. You'll see me in other shows or in the clubhouse. So hopefully this isn't goodbye. This is just good night. I welcome you to Tackle Trading. I thank you for your time. Get out of here. Have a fantastic rest of your evening and a great upcoming week, both in and out of the market. And I will see you soon. Thanks again, everyone. Good night.